Hey!
Hi. So like we said in our last video, which we hope you enjoyed, today we're going to speak about some of the English 19th century classics, which Karishma and I have both studied this year in an English module that we've taken at uni. So we're going to first be talking about Mansfield Park by the very famous Jane Austen.
And then Wuthering by Emily Bronte. Yeah.
So I feel like we probably should start off by getting the controversial point
Definitely.
out in the open.
Out in the open.
So me and Karishma
It's a big revelation.
We don't love Jane Austen.
It's a bit of an understatement. I have quite a strong dislike for Jane Austen.
I feel like having to read Mansfield Park for this module has confirmed for me all the reasons why I never made it through Pride and Prejudice.
Couldn't have said it any better
And
myself.
I know this. I think we realise like this is a very controversial point to put out there, and she's obviously like extremely well renowned and celebrated for her writing.
But we do think she's a bit overrated, to be honest.
She's a bit overrated.
But we can't really understand the appeal because all of her novels, and not even just Mansfield Park, they're all kind of centred. They're all kind of centred around the kind of typical marriage plot.
Yeah.
Characters aren't particularly likeable or
there's no one you can really relate into that much. It's quite. I don't find the plots particularly driving. It's just kind of very slow, and you know.
I do appreciate, like, with the characters, the kind of context aspect that this was kind of the
that's what it was
Victorian time.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is kind of a standard depiction.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it just, I don't feel like it's anything that stands out amongst any of the other fiction written at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, just like for a contemporary audience, well, just for me, obviously, and quite a lot of other people in this generation, like, love it. But just this kind of marriage plot of a family of girls and who's going to get with the most eligible bachelor, and it's just kind of, you know, balls and families and all the girls just sitting around doing their sewing. It's not particularly, doesn't particularly grab you in.
No, and everyone always talks about how witty she is. Not really understanding the wit. I can see it, like, when you're reading it, like, oh, this is meant to be witty, but it was probably witty at the time.
You have quite a strong feelings about this.
But yes, I do. Yes.
We learnt that Jane Austen apparently invented this style of narration which is called free indirect speech.
Yeah.
Which is where it's a third person kind of omniscient narrator. So it's kind of not the first person narrative, but this third person narrator can know what the characters are thinking, and that was apparently something that Jane Austen brought in, so kudos for doing that.
Yeah, although again,
but
not particularly grabbing.
Karishma said the other day that is something she could have done herself.
Yeah, not to say that I could have been Jane Austen, but, you know, I don't think it is the most innovative narrative style. I'm just putting this out there.
That way.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mansfield Park is basically about this girl called Fanny who is born to a fairly poor family, so she goes to live with her richer cousins, and the whole thing is just about how she builds up to getting with her cousin
Edmund. Yeah.
And surrounding that, there's kind of lots of relationships between her female cousins and the eligible bachelors from, you know, the other big house. Nothing, I'd say, particularly grabbing, and nothing surprising in the conclusion.
No,
you basically know
from
page one what's going to happen.
Which I feel is the case with all her novels, really. I haven't read all of them, but the ones that I've read.
Yeah.
Very much on the contrary, Wuthering by Emily Bronte. I think we both
really like this one.
Much prefer this.
It's quite different, like, with the whole kind of character of Heathcliff and Cathy not being this, like, typical middle-class British girl. She's kind of a bit more, even though she does come from a fairly well-off family, she's more kind of tomboyish and daring, and she's cheeky.
I feel like she actually has a personality.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to someone like Fanny,
like,
it's quite an obvious contrast.
And the kind of character of Heathcliff is just, like, so different, and, you know, there's kind of danger and actual real contention and controversy surrounding the relationships rather than just
exactly,
you know, who's the richest kind of thing.
Exactly.
And
I did find the narrative a bit kind of difficult to get, and
because it goes through so many different people.
Yeah. So if you're reading it for the first time, I think it's quite like I think we both made a family tree.
Yeah, it's very
for our seminar, because I feel like it is quite difficult to keep it straight in your head, like who is who, and they use like the same names.
Yeah.
So it's quite confusing.
So I think that in terms of kind of narrative, both of these books are quite difficult, and if you're used to reading the kind of more modern books that maybe have a first person narrator and you can like really get in the character's head, then these are definitely going to be kind of a bit different from that.
Definitely.
But
definitely go for this.
We would on the whole prefer the Brontes, and I also really love Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, there's a lot to be said for Jane Austen and the
it's not all good.
The impact that she's had on the English literary heritage. So definitely give her a go. Make up your own mind. But for us, I think we would have to admit that on this occasion, she doesn't get the 5 out of 5.
No, definitely not 5 out of 5. I would say a 2.
2's a bit mean. But But feel free to debate with us and leave some feisty comments.
Please do.
If you love
Jane Austen,
or if you love Jane Austen and the Brontes equally, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our potentially quite controversial video review, and hopefully see you
next week.